Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at yourself and felt that nagging sense that you could be more, that there's a version of you just under the surface, waiting to break free? But here's the hard truth. There's also a weak version of you. The version that makes excuses. The version that's afraid of stepping up, of pushing through the discomfort, of taking the risks necessary to grow. We all have it. That version of ourselves that holds us back, keeps us playing small, and keeps us from becoming who we were meant to be. But here's the thing, you don't have to stay that way. Today, we're going to talk about how to kill that weak version of yourself, how to get rid of the fears, the doubts, the complacency that weigh you down, and transform into the version of yourself that you're truly capable of becoming. It's not easy, it's not instant, but it is the most rewarding battle you'll ever fight. So let's get into it. Let's talk about how to kill that weak version of yourself once and for all. We all know that feeling, the one where we wake up and look in the mirror, and we see someone who's not quite living up to their full potential. There's a version of ourselves that we can't ignore, the one that chooses comfort over challenge, the one that procrastinates when faced with tough decisions, the one that says, maybe tomorrow, when it comes to taking action. This weak version is not some distant, mythical part of you. It's real. It's the version that gets scared when things get hard, the version that doesn't want to put in the extra work, the version that tries to take the easy way out. But here's the first step. You have to acknowledge that this version of you exists, and I'm not just talking about recognizing it in a vague, abstract sense. I'm talking about confronting it head on. This weak version doesn't need to be coddled or excused. It doesn't serve you. It only holds you back. We often hide behind excuses, saying things like, I'm not ready, or it's not the right time. But deep down, we know it's just fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. So what do we do with this version of ourselves? First, stop pretending it doesn't exist. Stop pushing it aside. Don't sugarcoat it and pretend that things will magically change if you keep ignoring the truth. The weak version of you is a reality, and until you face it with brutal honesty, you'll never be able to move forward. This is the moment where change begins, not when you deny your flaws, but when you embrace them and decide that you're no longer willing to let them dictate your future. Only then can you take the first step toward killing that weak version and building something stronger. Now that you've confronted the weak version of yourself, it's time to ask, who do you want to become? This isn't just about the version of you that exists today. It's about the future version you can't stop thinking about. The one who lives boldly, who doesn't hesitate when opportunity knocks, who pushes through discomfort without making excuses. The key is to get crystal clear on what that strong version looks like. We often drift through life without a clear picture of who we're trying to become, and without that clarity, it's easy to stay stuck in the same patterns. But when you define the strongest version of yourself, you give yourself something to aim for. You need to envision the habits, the mindset, and the actions that this version of you embraces. What does that person do differently? How do they think about challenges? How do they approach success? What is their daily routine? Be specific. The strongest version of you isn't a vague, abstract idea. It's someone who gets up early, who doesn't waste time, who works harder than everyone else in the room, who doesn't shrink back when things get tough. They know their worth, and they never let anything or anyone hold them back. That's the version you need to strive for, so clearly that when you're faced with a decision, you know exactly what that strong you would do. Would they take the easy route? No. Would they back down when things get hard? Absolutely not. Once you've got that clear vision of your best self, use it as your compass. Let it guide every decision, every action. This is the version of you that you're working toward, and it's the one that will eventually replace the weak version if you stay committed. Now that you've confronted the weak version of yourself and defined the strong version you want to become, there's one critical factor that will make or break your success: discipline. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind, and when it disappears, so can your drive. But discipline is something you choose every single day, regardless of how you feel. It's the ability to push through when you'd rather quit, to show up even when you're tired, to keep going even when the results aren't immediate. This is where the real transformation happens. Talent can only take you so far, but discipline, it gets you across the finish line. You see, the weak version of yourself doesn't want to put in the work. It wants the easy road, the path of least resistance. But the strong version understands that consistency is king. It knows that every single day is an opportunity to take a step closer to greatness. Whether it's waking up early to work on your goals, sticking to your fitness routine, or showing up even when you don't feel like it, discipline is the thread that ties it all together. Building discipline means creating habits that push you toward growth, even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. It's about having the willpower to make the hard choices, especially when it feels easier to let them slide. It's about finding your why, the deeper reason behind everything you do, and letting that fuel you when your mind starts making excuses. Discipline doesn't rely on how you feel, it's the promise you make to yourself to never stop pushing, no matter the obstacles. And once you develop this, the weak version of you starts to lose its grip because you're no longer driven by fleeting emotions. You're driven by something far stronger. Once you have the discipline to push yourself forward, the next crucial step is to assess the environment around you. The weak version of yourself thrives in a setting that feeds your insecurities, distractions, and bad habits. It flourishes in relationships, routines, and media consumption that reinforce fear and complacency. To kill that weak version, you must actively starve it by changing your surroundings. This is not just about cutting out negativity, but about intentionally curating your environment to support the strongest version of yourself. Start with the people you surround yourself with. If you're constantly around people who don't believe in your goals, who settle for mediocrity, or who drag you into unhealthy patterns, you're feeding the weak version of yourself. You might feel comfortable in those relationships, but comfort isn't growth. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, who encourage you to rise, and who expect more from you, not because they want to put pressure on you, but because they see your potential and want to see you succeed. These are the relationships that will force you to step up, even when it's tough. Next, think about what you consume daily. The books, shows, podcasts, and social media you take in shape your thoughts and, ultimately, your behavior. If you fill your mind with negativity, mindless entertainment, or constant comparison, you're feeding the weak version of yourself. Shift your focus to content that inspires, educates, and challenges you to think bigger. Make it a habit to read or listen to something that pushes you toward growth every day. Whether it's a motivational podcast, an educational book, or stories of people who overcame adversity, what you consume matters. Lastly, look at your daily routines. Are they designed to elevate you or keep you stuck in mediocrity? If your Day habits support the weak version of you, like staying up late, skipping workouts, or putting off important tasks. It's time for a change. Make the conscious decision to build routines that fuel your growth. Every moment you invest in the right environment, whether it's through positive relationships or purposeful actions, you're starving that weak version and feeding the one that's ready to conquer anything. Pain is something most of us try to avoid. It's uncomfortable, it's difficult, and it often feels like the universe is throwing obstacles in our way for no reason at all. But what if I told you that pain is not only unavoidable, it's necessary for growth? The weak version of yourself runs from pain. It seeks comfort, avoids hard truths, and resists anything that feels like struggle. But the strong version of you, the strong version understands that pain is not something to be avoided, it's something to be used as fuel. Every time you face a challenge, whether it's a setback, a failure, or just an uncomfortable moment, you have a choice. You can let it defeat you, retreat back into your shell, and tell yourself that it's just not worth it. Or you can use it as an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The strong version of yourself is shaped by those tough moments. It's forged in the fire of adversity. So when life pushes you to your limits, don't back down. Embrace it, learn from it, use it as a stepping stone toward your next level. Here's the truth. Every failure, every rejection, every painful moment is an opportunity for growth. When you fall short, you get back up and learn what went wrong. When you face rejection, it teaches you resilience and how to refine your approach. Pain isn't the enemy, it's the teacher you never knew you needed. Without pain, there's no progress. Without struggle, there's no strength. The weak version of yourself sees pain as a sign to quit. The strong version sees pain as proof that you're on the right track, because every time you face discomfort and keep moving forward, you're becoming stronger. So, the next time life gets tough, instead of asking, "Why me?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me better?" Use pain as the fuel that propels you toward your goals, and watch how it transforms you into the person you were always meant to be. Finally, let's talk about one of the most crucial elements in this journey: consistency. The process of killing the weak version of yourself isn't a one-time decision. It's not about having a moment of inspiration and deciding to make a change. It's about making that decision every single day. Day in and day out. You see, the weak version of you thrives in inconsistency. It's the version of you that starts strong but fades out when the excitement wears off. It's the version that needs a constant source of motivation to keep moving, but real growth isn't built on motivation. It's built on relentless execution. Every choice you make, every action you take, and every habit you build must be consistent. This is where most people fail, because they expect to see instant results. They believe that if they put in the work for a few days or weeks, the transformation should be visible, but that's not how growth works. Real change is built through the small, seemingly insignificant actions you take daily, even when it feels like nothing is happening. It's showing up even when it's hard. It's sticking to your routines even when you'd rather slack off. It's choosing the strong version of yourself in the little moments when no one is watching. To kill the weak version of yourself, you have to commit to daily execution. Every time you stick to your goals, every time you push through the temptation to quit, you're reinforcing the strong version. And while there might not always be immediate rewards, those small decisions compound over time, and you'll eventually look up and realize that the person you are now is unrecognizable from the person you used to be. Consistency is what builds momentum. It's the key to turning those good intentions into lasting results. So keep showing up, keep taking action, keep executing, because this is how the weak version of you dies and the strong version of you is born. In conclusion, the journey to kill the weak version of yourself is not an easy one, but it is the most powerful decision you'll ever make. It starts with the brutal honesty of acknowledging that weak version, the one that holds you back, makes excuses, and seeks comfort. But once you see it for what it is, you can take the next step, defining who you truly want to become. The strong version of yourself, the one that acts with clarity, purpose, and resilience, is waiting for you to step into it. Discipline, the ability to show up every single day, no matter how you feel, becomes the foundation of your transformation. And as you build discipline, you must reshape your environment, surrounding yourself with people, content, and routines that fuel your growth and starve the weak version. When pain comes, as it inevitably will, don't run from it. Embrace it. Use it as the fuel that pushes you forward, but above all, remember that change doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily, consistent effort. You won't always see the results immediately, but every step, every choice, every action that aligns with the person you want to become will eventually pay off. The weak version of you cannot survive consistency. So, the question is, will you continue to settle for the person you are now, or will you make the bold decision to kill that weak version and become who you're truly capable of being? The time is now. Make the choice, show up every day, and watch as you transform into the strongest version of yourself.